we're going to begin in a restorative posture. I think it's a nice way to kind of segue from our day, our yang part of our day, into a yin practice. So our yin practice is meant to balance. So when we think of yang, we think of the energizing part of our day, the part of our day where we are active, where we're thinking, we're analyzing, we're planning, and the yang energy is heating. It's associated with the sun, with light. And so we want to balance that with some yin, right? So we want to slow things down. It's cooling. And we want to take a break from that frenetic, energetic pace that we go at throughout the rest of our day. And this is also to give our minds a break as well. So we want to slow the mind down too, and create and cultivate a space where we can just observe the experience that we're going to be in, and not feel a need to judge and critique, or have our mind racing with thoughts. So that is the goal. We'll see how we do here. We're going to start in a supported bridge. So feel free to use, like I said, you can use a couple of pillows. You could take a block with a blanket on it. You could use your bolster. You could even take a blanket, just fold it up nice and high. So I'll show you. I'm just going to use a bolster. If you are using a block for whatever reason, you want to put it so that it's just on your sacrum and not on your lower back. If you're using a bolster, again, just make sure that your whole sacrum and maybe even just a little bit of your low back is actually up on that bolster. Okay? And then you can just bring your arms by your side. And just let your eyes close here. If you can, just begin, if you're clear and able to, begin to breathe through your nose. And just start to notice the quality of your breath without doing anything. Notice if the breathing feels shallow or if it feels full and deep. And maybe then you can begin to deepen the breathing a little bit. Pulling the breath in, using the muscles in the back of the throat. Just really cultivating a sense of opening, a sense of expansion throughout your lungs and your chest. Maybe take just a few moments here to be filled with a sense of gratitude. Maybe even gratitude simply for having this time, making this time for yourself to practice, to consciously align with your higher self, your highest self. An opportunity to find some peace and freedom in our minds. To cultivate a deep sense of ease in our physical bodies. And hopefully to cultivate a expanded capacity for feeling compassion and empathy for ourselves and as well as those around us. Just allow yourself here to simply be in a space of observing, just observing the sensation of this gentle inversion, the sensation of the blood and the fluids gently moving away from your lower extremities towards your head and your heart. And whether you are feeling light and free right now, or you're feeling heavy and unenthusiastic, do your best to not be attached to either experience. Right? Just create space for what is. Just allow yourself to be in the practice. Just witnessing, observing, breathing. I wrote down this quote of quite a long time ago. This is years ago now, and I came across it the other day, and I just really love this. I don't know who wrote it. It was by a mid-first century Roman philosopher. It says, "I am like a book with pages that have stuck together for want of use. My mind needs unpacking, and the truths stored within must be turned over from time to time, to be ready when occasion demands." I like to think of having just that ability to literally unpack the mind. Not in a way where we pick everything up and analyze it, but that we can just simply create this space in a moment like this where we simply step back away from the constant hamster wheel of thinking and judging and analyzing, and that we can simply be. We can just be the witness, the observer. And sometimes when we place ourselves in that space, it's then that we can, things will just naturally fall away. Right? Insights will naturally arise. Truths. We're going to gently come out of this pose. So you can just gently lift your bottom up off of your prop, whatever you're using, and then just slide your props off to the side. And go ahead and come back down. Take your feet, so keep your knees bent, place your feet as wide as your mat. Take your arms a little bit out away from your body. And we're just going to start to take the knees from side to side. So just windshield wipering the knees. So as your knees go over to the right, I want you to turn your head and look to the left. As the knees swing over to the left, roll your head to the right. So you're not moving your head, you're not lifting it, you're just rolling it back and forth. The knees are windshield wipering back and forth. Just keep going. Just find a pace that feels really soothing. Don't go too fast, right? Good. And then gently come back to center. You can just keep your knees bent and keep the soles of your feet on the floor. And then I'm gonna have you do a little bit of a release for your eyes, for the muscles of the eyes and the nerves that extend from the eyes. This move will actually help stimulate your cerebellum. And then there's nerves that run from your cerebellum also down to your the deep spinal muscles as well. So it's a nice release for eye strain, but we get this added benefit of kind of lighting up that area of our brain that controls our balance and our creativity. And so let's begin. You're going to look up with your eyes like you're trying to look at your forehead or the wall behind you. And then you're just going to make a big circle with your eyes. So maybe you can start clockwise. So you'll look to your right and you'll look down and over to the left, making a nice big circle. Do that 5 times clockwise. Take your time. You don't need to do this fast. Good. Be sure to go in the opposite direction. If for any reason this makes you dizzy, just pause for a moment, close your eyes, and then open your eyes back up. Just moving the eyes, not the head. Very good. And then just rest your eyes for a moment, close your eyes. You might notice some swirlies behind your eyelids, some little sparkles, colors. All right. And you could just take your knees over to the side. Use your arms, and we're going to come up all the way up. And we're going to take a seat, so feel free to sit on a blanket, a folded blanket. We're going to come into butterfly pose. So we're going to bring the bottoms of the feet together and the knees are going to go out. And you have a choice to make. You can bring your heels in really close, or you can take your heels out a little ways away from your groin so you have a little bit more of a diamond shape here. Just kind of see what you're feeling. Maybe you can test one and then test the other and just kind of see where you really actually need it. And then we're just slowly going to start to fold forward. Now, if you have blocks or pillows or bolsters, I really encourage you to try to use something that you can get your forehead to rest on. So sometimes that might require a couple of things stacked. You could even take, if you do have a bolster at home, you could take your bolster, and I'll show you from the side, you can put a bolster end on end like this, and you can catch it on your sticky mat, and you create like this one's kind of bendy, but there. And you could rest like that if you want. And if you are getting a little bit deeper, you find that your forehead's getting a little bit closer to the floor, then grab a couple other props. Bring your forehead to rest on something so that the back of your neck can completely relax and soften. We don't need to put additional strain on the neck by letting the weight of the head just hang there. So that's why a block or a bolster, pillows, anything like that will help create a great sense of ease in the back of your neck, your throat. Relax the muscles of your jaw. You might even open your mouth and gently make some circles with your lower jaw. Just let everything soften. Notice where you're holding tension. See if you can direct the energy from your breath into those areas and help to release. See how relaxed you can get. Just letting your mind focus on sensation, focus on breath, and focus on the quality of releasing. I'm going to take one more full breath in here. Let it all out. Let out a sigh or some sound if that feels good for you. And then gently lift your head up. Good. You can set your props off to the side. Okay. We are going to come to stand. And since you're at home, I'm going to show you a variation. So we're going to do a standing forward fold, kind of dangling, and just to get ourselves really inverted. And I'm going to grab a chair, and I'll show you if at home how you can do this on the edge of a chair, a couch, arm of a couch or chair. Just as an option. So if you want to just hang, you can. You don't have to do this variation. You could just simply take your feet a little bit wider than your hips, little bend in the knees, and a lot of bend if you need a lot of bend in your knees. And you can just hang. You can just come like this. And you could even bend your knees to the point where your chest, your outside of your rib cage here is actually resting right on your thighs. Or a nice option, like I said, if you have a chair or the edge of a couch or the arm of a chair, you can come over to it, and if you need to prop a pillow up on here, you can. Otherwise, this is what this can look like, and it feels really, really nice. Put your forehead right on the edge So you're not squishing the bridge of your nose. And just put your arms up on the surface of whatever it is that you're using. The idea is that we still have the hips higher than, elevated higher than the head and the heart. This one adds in the stretch in the back of the hamstrings. It's a really, really wonderful pose just for shifting the energy. If you feel sluggish or stagnant from your day, if you were sitting a lot. If you find after you're on the edge for a while that you want to get a little bit deeper, maybe you want to bring the head down further, you can do that. Or maybe you want to go from hanging really deep and you want to raise the head a little bit. You can maybe take it up. And we're going to slowly start to come out of this, and I mean slow. Do not come up quickly because we've been inverted for a while. So if you are using the couch or the chair, bring your hands onto it. Slowly start to straighten your arms. Otherwise, you can, if you were down, you can start to walk your hands up your shins, onto your thighs. So you just want to go really slow so that you don't have a real sudden change in your blood pressure that causes you to feel like you're going to fall down. I'm going to set my chair off to the side here. Okay. And then we're going to want a folded towel or a folded blanket here. We're going to come into dragon. This is a lovely pose to do, particularly after a day if you've been sitting a lot. So we'll start with the right foot forward. So that means the left knee and shin and ankle will be on the folded blanket. If you look here, just so that whole is supported. You could also use a bolster with your thigh up on a bolster. I wouldn't use the bolster in this way that I'm doing, but you could actually take the thigh back further and put the bolster right here underneath it. So the right foot will go up to the right. Your right arm is going to rest to the inside of that right foot. And then you do want to get the hips in front of the knee. Now this is where that bolster can come in handy if that feels like it's too much. Sometimes using the bolster in the back underneath the thigh. I don't have my knee on the bolster, but I have the top of my thigh on the bolster. And that sometimes can just make this just a little bit more sustainable, for lack of a better word. And we want the poses to be sustainable. We want to be able to feel like we can actually rest in them for a period of at least a couple of minutes. Go to an edge that you can stay with. Not so deep that it's uncomfortable to the point where you're going to be largely just distracted in the pose, but you want to be able to, there's going to be some sensation, there's going to be some intensity, but the idea is to be able to breathe through that intensity and to not get attached to what we're experiencing, but just to simply observe it, welcome it, right? Let that energy just move through, right? We breathe it in, we take it into the places where we feel tense, and then we exhale, we let it go, right? We just kind of let it dissipate. If you start to feel yourself, your nervous system getting anxious or worked up or worried, again, just come back to your breath. Try to soften and relax the little areas of the body that start to contract, that become rigid. This is a really nice pose for stimulating the lines of energy and blood and lymph that run along like the kidney meridian. These are lines of energy that are used in acupuncture. So help stimulating the internal organs of the kidneys, the liver. It's also a wonderful stretch for your psoas muscle, which can get really shortened when you are doing a lot of sitting. Because your psoas muscle attaches to your femur bone, and then it runs up through the interior of the hip, and then it attaches in several different places down in the lumbar spine. So when you're sitting, that muscle shortens, right? So if you're sitting a lot, then that muscle is always in this relaxed, shortened state. So when we stretch it like this, we're opening it up, we're lengthening the psoas. Okay, we're going to just gently begin to ease out of this. You can just start to walk the hips back a little bit. Let's just roll onto the back of that right heel here for just 3 or 4 breaths, just flexing the foot. Good. All right, we'll bring that knee down. And just a little bit of a pit stop here before we go to the other side. Let's take some hip circles. So take about 4 turns in both directions. Nice big, generous circles with your hips. I like to do just a little bit of really gentle movement in between some of these postures. Okay, so let's do the other side. This time your left foot's going to come forward, and again, you can do it the way I'm showing you with the thigh up on the bolster, or you could have your shin and your knee resting on a pad, like your folded blanket or towel. And try to have your sole of the left foot. You want to make sure the whole sole of the foot is planted on the floor. I should have mentioned that on the other side too. And have your knee roughly over your ankle. So if you look at me, my knee is aligned right over the ankle. Beware of your thoughts that you have about any given posture. So sometimes some poses are more challenging than others. Some bring up a lot of strong sensation in the stretch, and sometimes our thoughts can become agitated, negative, right? And what happens is when we go to that place, the whole experience gets colored by that, by our thoughts, just like everything else in life, right? So just notice what the thoughts are and see if you can become neutral, right? Create that equanimity. So there is no judgment. There just is sensation. There just is a deep stretch. Hope you're all doing good. We're going to slowly start to ease back. Good. Roll onto the back of your left heel so the left leg is extended straight. We'll just take a few breaths here. It feels nice after having the knee bent like that. I always like to just have that sensation of kind of balancing the front and back of the leg. Good. All right, let's bring the knees down. You can set your bolster, your blanket, whatever you were using. And feel free to sit on your blanket for this next pose. We're going to come into dragonfly. So for this one, the feet are going to go out wide. You don't have to go as wide as your feet will possibly go. If anything, maybe take them out that wide and then just bring them back slightly. And then you might want to take your hands and just kind of grab onto the flesh of your bottom and scoot it back. Lean forward and just pull it back like that. That'll help tilt your pelvis into a neutral position. We want the pelvis to be upright. I'll show you when I sit sideways. So if you're not and you feel like you're really struggling to sit up straight, then just create a little bit more height on your pad that you're sitting on. I'll show you. So when we're seated, when I say neutral pelvis, we don't want to have the pelvis back like this. So if you can just prop yourself up so that your pelvis can sit straight up and down like this. And then from there, we are going to start to fold forward. You can slowly begin to walk the hands forward. And maybe your forearms come to the floor. Maybe you're going to take a bolster or some pillows, maybe a couple of blocks to rest your forearms on. Again, I really encourage you to support your neck, so getting the forehead to rest on something. So that could be a block, it could be a bolster and a block, like so. You want to just get the height right so that you're right there at your edge. You're at the edge of the strong stretch. just slowly begin the journey. That journey that is guided by each breath, that takes you deeper and deeper into a state of release. A state of relaxation. And just notice here if there's any sense of resistance, any sense of holding back. Just guide yourself to release and to let go. There's nothing to be afraid of, not here, not now. It's just a safe place to unwind and to let go of that constant need to be on guard that it seems to kind of dominate our current state, our current situation. We allow ourselves this time and this space to release that, to not resist, to not be on guard, to let our walls down. You can slowly start to bring yourself up, nice and easy. And then roll your ankles here a few times. While we're at it, why don't we roll our wrists too? You can do figure eights. I like doing figure eights with my hands. And then also just pulling the hands back like this. So like if your hands are facing forward, pulling the hands back towards the forearms and then forward. And just doing that a couple of times. You could even use your hands just to apply a little bit of pressure there that can really help release the strain on your wrists and forearms from typing at a computer. All right. Go ahead and just give that a good shake. Shake out your hands. All right. We'll set any props over to the side. And then you're going to come onto your belly. This is another one that I haven't been leaving out a whole lot in my yin classes lately, just because I think it's so beneficial because of the nature of the way we live our lives, and being at computers, driving our car, looking at our phone. We're constantly in this state of kind of rounding the back, rounding the shoulders. So we want to open up the chest. We want to open up the front of the shoulders here, and even get down into the arms a little bit. So from your belly, we're going to stretch those areas. So what we're going to do, we'll start with the right arm first, and you're just going to take your right arm straight out to the side, and then you'll use your left hand pressing on the floor. So watch me if you haven't done this before. I'm going to use my left hand to roll myself onto my right side, and as I'm doing that, I'm going to walk that right arm out a little bit. And when I come all the way onto the right side, I'm going to bend my right knee, so my bottom leg, just so I have a little kickstand there. You can keep your head on the floor. You want to navigate that right arm. You want to position it just so that you can feel that stretch, not just, in the front of the shoulder, but see if you can get it to a place where you can feel the stretch also in your pectoral muscles across your chest. You can even play around with the positioning of your head if you want to deepen the stretch. Sometimes just gently turning your head away from the floor slightly can take it a little bit deeper. Make sure that you're still breathing. Full breaths in, full breaths out. Good. You can use your left hand, you can unbend your bottom leg so that you can roll back onto your belly. Take your right arm alongside of your body with the back of your hand resting on the floor, and then turn your head to the right. You can rest your forehead, the side of your forehead, on your hand. If that hurts your neck, just rest your forehead on a fist. We just want to release the neck or the shoulder here a little bit. Just take a nice big breath in. Expand through your back, across the back of your rib cage, and then as you exhale, just let everything go. Let yourself just kind of squish into the mat. Do that one more time. Breathe all the way in. Let it all go, and just let yourself just melt into the mat underneath you. All right, and we got one more side here. So now left arm. And I should say, really, really listen to your body always. If any of these poses, if you're dealing with an injury of any sort, just really pay attention to what you're doing. If it doesn't seem like something that's is the right thing to do in terms of your own body, listen to that. See if you can find another variation that works. Maybe just gently shifting the position a little bit. Or maybe you might just need to opt out altogether to any one pose, and you can just do something else that your body is calling you to do. You probably already noticed that both sides, usually the left and the right, when we do a pose like this, very seldom are you going to find the same experience on both sides. What one position worked for the arm on one side isn't necessarily going to work on the other side, depending upon which side is dominant, whether we've had any injuries. Just stay quietly at your edge. Just abiding the sensation. All right, we're going to slowly, again, just straighten that bottom leg, roll back onto your belly. Take your left arm alongside of your body with the back of the hand resting on the floor, and then rest your forehead or rest a cheek. Okay. From here, you can come up onto your forearms. And we're going to bring the elbows out in front of the shoulders. So if you can see me, I have kind of an angle going here with my upper arm. So this is just a variation of Sphinx, where we keep the whole belly from those bottom ribs and the diaphragm area all the way down, we keep on the floor. I like this one. It's a little bit gentler on the lower back, and you can actually get a very nice stretch through the mid-back and also between the shoulder blades. So you can kind of let the hands come a little bit closer together here for this one. And then just gently start to press your forearms into the floor. Lift the chest. Bring your head neutral. So don't lift the head. You don't need to look forward. You could even, sometimes when I do this pose, I'll come up onto the elbows and I'll bring the hands up, and I'll make a little pillow with the heel of my hands right here. Kind of a headrest, if you will. And I do that, I rest the head, but I still keep pressing the elbows into the floor and kind of rolling the shoulders down away from the ears and then forward slightly. Just an option. I'm just, if it doesn't feel good for you, then no need to do it. Just, it's nice to have options. If you are resting your forehead in your hands, you can let the hands come down. And then just for these last few breaths here, we're going to lower the chin down towards the chest, down towards the sternum. Just feeling that stretch through the upper back. Good, and then slowly just start to lift the head up. Good. Bring your hands by your chest. We're just going to move back just momentarily through child's pose. We're not going to stay here a real long time. Bring your bottom onto your heels. Rest your forehead. Rest your forearms. Just feel the weight of your head and your forehead resting on your blanket or on your mat. Let your shoulders and your spine release. It might feel nice to just kind of rock your forehead, roll your forehead side to side. It's a nice way to iron out some of that tension that we get in the forehead, in the eyebrows. Very good. All right, let's slowly come on up. Okay, so you are going to come to seated. You're going to sit like this. You're going to take your knees wide. You're going to take your feet out about as wide as your mat. I'm going to scoot myself back a little bit here. So then you're going to take both knees over to the left. All right, you're going to roll onto the outer edge of your left hip. So your right knee will go to the inside of your left foot like this. Okay. You're going to turn away from the legs, and we're going to come onto the forearms, onto the elbows. And you're going to feel this twist. We're taking the whole spine and we're just kind of rolling it into this helix shape, like a DNA model. When you look at how DNA looks, it's kind of a rolling, kind of turning ladder. So think of your spine. We want to have a healthy spine, we want to move it in all directions. We want to, arc the back. We want to round the back. We want to bend to the side, and we also want to rotate the spine. If you have a block handy, sometimes it's nice to rest your forehead on a block in this pose too, because you are up on the forearms, rather than letting the heaviness of your head just weigh on your neck. Put your forehead on the edge of a block. If you don't have a block at home, you could find another prop. Just get creative, look around. Preferably something that's not too hard. If you are using a block, sometimes it's nice to, if you can angle the block, bring it kind of onto its edge, and you can prop your fingers underneath it so that it doesn't move out of the way, but that way it kind of matches the slight angle that you have on your forehead. And just to unpack your mind, just empty it. Nothing's going to get solved here in this moment. Nothing's going to get
resolved. Any problems or stressors that you have, they'll still be there. Just allow yourself this moment. We're going to slowly come out of this. Take your time. Use your hands. Bring yourself up. We're going to come to face forward again. You might want to just maybe roll the shoulders a little bit here. Move the arms a little bit. I'm going to spin around so I'm facing this way, and I'll just show you the same thing. We're just going to do the same thing over to the right. So you want to begin with the feet wide. Wide as your mat. Take the knees to the right. Rest your left knee to the inside of your foot. You want to shift the hip a little bit so you're on the very outer edge of the hip, and then we're going to come down onto the elbows. Again, same as before with the shoulders, you're going to find one side is going to feel a little bit tighter than the other. Typically, we're used to turning in one direction and not so much in the other direction. We're going to slowly start to ease our way back out of this pose. Take your time. Come up onto your arms. Good. And just slowly come back up to seated. And then just take a seat here. I thought maybe we could stretch the neck a little bit. So we're going to just begin by kind of warming up the area around the neck. So you can just start to roll the shoulders, kind of squeezing the neck with the shoulders. You can do one at a time if that feels better. As this area gets so tight and we carry so much tension in this area of the body. All right. So then we're going to just reach with your right arm. I'm going to use my left. I'm just going to mirror you.
You want to just create some length here. So you want to get the shoulder, that right shoulder, dropping down. And then just gently begin to lower your head to the left. See where your attention is living. If it's, maybe you need to draw the chin down a little bit more. Maybe you need to turn the head up towards the ceiling to get some release through the muscles in the front of the neck here. And sometimes it helps to assist by actually manually. You could use your left hand on the right side of your neck to release some of those muscles. And if that doesn't float your boat, you don't want to do that, you don't have to do that. You can just use gravity and just keep stretching by lowering the shoulder, tipping the head over to the left. And slowly come back to center. All right, let's try that over to the other side. Again, just reach the left arm nice and long. Sit up tall. Just gently begin to explore. Start to tip your head over to your right. Again, maybe you want to reach up with your right hand. Maybe not. Just using a little bit of pressure with your finger pads. Just kind of ironing out some of the tension in those muscles. All right. And then let's see, you can bring your head back to center. Hopefully you feel a little bit more space, a little bit more open there between the earlobes and the top of your shoulders. And then we're going to come onto our back. So if you'd like some padding, go ahead and put your blanket down if you'd like. Come onto your back. So we're going to come into a really nice twist. This is called Twisted Roots. It's one of my faves. If there's another twist that calls to you, if this doesn't feel good for you and you want to just keep the knees like this with the inner knees together, shins together, you can do that. Otherwise, my option that I'm going to offer is to cross your legs right at the knees like this, not at the ankle. Cross at the knees. Okay. Draw the knees in towards the chest a little bit, like I have mine. And then we're going to slowly take the legs over to the left. So what's going to happen is your left leg is going to kind of pin down the right leg. And you can take your arms, reach your arms in opposite directions. If you need to put a prop underneath that right arm when it goes out to the right, you can do that if you need that for just to support your shoulder a little bit. Put a pillow or a folded blanket, a bolster underneath that arm. And like I said, if that feels like too deep of a stretch, uncross your legs. You could even put a pillow in between your knees and between your shins.
Just allow your upper back to just open. Just cultivating through the energy of your breath that just a sense of spaciousness through the upper back, the back of your neck. Space up through your sinuses, your third eye, through the crown of your head. Good. We'll slowly release this and bring it back to center. And you can come back in, just squeeze your knees in for a moment. And then decide, are you going to just keep the knees together, or are you going to cross the knees? We'll take our twist over to the right. Extend your arms in opposite directions. Just no attachment to what you're experiencing, just noticing. Just kind of broadening your scope to take in the whole experience, the whole body, the breath, the space around you. The sounds in the room. The feeling of the air on your skin. Slowly come back to center, nice and easy. Uncross your legs if your legs were crossed. You can either hug the knees back in, or if you'd prefer, you can come into happy baby. This might feel really nice after that twist. Grabbing onto the bottoms of your feet, aligning your ankles roughly over your knees. You can hold on to the inside or the outside. I like to hold on to the inside of my feet, but see what feels best for you. As you pull the knees down towards either side of the chest, see if you can drop your sacrum more onto the floor. And then slowly release. Go ahead and just give your legs a nice stretch up towards the sky. Flex the ankles. Maybe draw the legs in towards the chest, just feeling that stretch along the back of the legs there. Good. And then slowly bring your knees back down so that your feet are almost
they're kind of floating over the floor, but that you can have your hands resting on the top of your knees. We're just going to gently rock the knees forward and in, not a lot, just kind of rocking back and forth over the sacrum. Try not to use the strength of your legs, just let your legs be kind of slack and use your hands and your arms to do this movement. Good. All right, and then I'd like you to find a resting pose. So on your back, good place, a bolster or a couple of pillows or a pillow or two underneath your back of your knees if you'd like. Maybe cover with a blanket. Whenever you feel nice and comfy, just allowing yourself to just begin to settle into a state of rest. Just that sweet, sweet state of completely letting go, just allowing every bone, every muscle, just the weight of the fluids and the blood in your body, everything, gravity just taking over. Letting the spine relax. Relaxing your jaw, relaxing your tongue in your mouth. Muscles around your eyes, your temples, softening. Your arms and legs and pelvis heavy. You're just watching the breath moving in and out of your body. Maybe once again here, just taking a moment just to feel filled with a sense of gratitude. And taking this time out of your day to heal. And to just empty the mind momentarily. To bring about healing and to bring about a quality of being just restored. It's such a gift. I invite you to remain in your Shavasana longer if you are able to and if you want to. Otherwise, I will bid you farewell. Thank you so much for joining, and I wish you peace and happiness and health. Namaste.